Hi, welcome to Astrobabble. I'm Donna from Donna B Astrology,
And I'm Linda from Scullywag Astrology.
and today we are going to do the year ahead forecast for the sign of Scorpio with all of the planetary major transits. And the first planet we are going to be talking about is Mercury. Mercury is the fastest planet, and it has a lot to do with communication and commerce and messages. So that is our messenger of the skies. And we're going to kind of squeak out 4 retrogrades. Usually it's only about 3, but it's only going to be 4 because it's actually moving out of its retrograde period literally January 1st. So that's how it's squeaking out this first one. It starts retrograde period December 13th, and that's going to be in Capricorn, and then it's going to station direct January 1st in Sagittarius, and that's going to play over your third and your second house. So it's going to go into your third house and then back into your second house for this retrograde period. So the third house has a lot to do with, so when it goes into your third house, it has a lot to do with your community, like, or short travel or early learning. Those are the things that Mercury, those are the things that the third house kind of runs. And the second house is your finances and what supports you. So that's where you're going to have things happen, like for early learning, it might be that a grade might have to be repeated, or you might have to relearn how to do something. Short-term travel, something might go wrong with your car, messages, something wrong with your computer. So, or travel, your short-term travel. So those are the kinds of things you can watch out for with Mercury retrogrades in your third house. In your second house is just, those kind of banking things, like you're trying to make a deposit and you don't have the proper signatures on a check when you get to the bank, or those kinds of things. So it has to do with finances and the things that you have to redo with those.
And from the 1st of April to the 25th of April, Mercury will retrograde in Aries, which is in your 6th house. The 6th house is illness, pets, and those that work for us or with us. Also includes people that are in service orientated fields. So this can include doctors, nurses, first responders, etc. So this could be something like, I've had this where, gone to have an x-ray or a scan and, gotten all the way to where it needs to be done and, don't have the paperwork. So have to backtrack and go get that. It could also be something to do with co-workers, because Mercury is also misunderstandings or communications, can be delays. So again, with illness, maybe if you are feeling, there's some new illness, maybe it will take a little bit longer to diagnose. I've also seen this with people having to go back to get scans redone, like a mammogram. I know a woman who had to get mammogram redone, and it was during a Mercury retrograde in her 6th house.
Definitely something to watch out for. And then Mercury will be stationed retrograde August 4th in Virgo, and then it will station direct August 28th. So they're not very long periods when Mercury retrogrades. There's really only 3, but the shadow period kind of extends it. And it's going to retrograde in Leo in your 11th house and your 10th house. So when it goes into retrograde in the 10th house and the 11th house, the 10th house is what you're known for. It could be your career, in what you could be famous for. You could be a bank robber and be famous. This would be showing up in your 10th house. So it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a good house. It's just what you're known for. The 11th house is your friends and associations and associates. So the retrograde would happen in those houses in Virgo and Leo. And so when it goes into Virgo, those are the groups and associations where you might have to redo some things, as well as in the 10th house, you might have to redo some things as far as your career is concerned.
And from the 25th of November to the 15th of December, Mercury will be retrograde in Sagittarius, which is your 2nd house. So that is your personal finances, income, and resources. So this can be as simple as, making sure that you're not double billed for something, or, that you're not double charged for something, that if you're using cash, you're getting the correct change. Or as Donna said, maybe you've gone to deposit a check and, something's not quite right, or, you know, check your pay stubs. Maybe you're not paid correctly because it is a house of income. But yeah, just those are the sorts of matters that may be prone to error. Can also be delays. So maybe if you're waiting for money, that's going to be just your money, not shared finances and that, or other people's money, but your money coming to you that you've earned, there may be a delay in that for whatever reason.
And then Venus, the next planet out from the sun, because Mercury was the first one, Venus is the second one, and she is called the bright one. She's the benefic. She's the called the bright one in the sky, as far as her name is concerned. She's benefic, as I mentioned, and she's in charge of love, the social kind of aspects of our life, as well as beauty, art, and the comforts. So that is all about Venus, and she will be ingressing into your third house in Capricorn, January 23rd. And in your third house, you should get a benefic kind of feeling, around early learning, or your siblings, your car, or your short transportation. Yeah, those are kind of things. So those are nice things for you can expect in your third house.
And from February 16th to March 11th, Venus will be in Aquarius in your fourth house. The fourth house is our family, most particularly our parents. It's our home and living situation and real estate matters. It also covers things like heritage and other things like that. So yeah, this may be just a really nice time spent harmoniously with parents or family. It may be just whoever you're living with. It may be just a nicer time. You may be interested in beautifying where you live, whether that's, huge redecoration, or just buying some throw cushions or new curtains or whatever. Or you could benefit through, say, parents, or through real estate matters.
And then Venus will move on March 11th, will move into Pisces, into your fifth house. And the fifth house is the house where Venus has her joy, number one. Number two, she's exalted here. So you really should have a lot of positivity around those things, of whether they're in the fifth house is the house of what you create. That could be your children, art that you're working on, or even hobbies and things that you do for fun. So you should definitely have a lot of fun starting between March 11th and April 4th. That's when Venus will be in Pisces, and this is going to be a really good time. She's got two good aspects to give her strength in this house. So in your fifth house is a really nice house for her to be for you.
Yes, very nice. From April 4th to April 29th, Venus will be in Aries, which is your sixth house. The sixth house is people that work for us, employees, or people that you may have some supervisory position over. It includes co-workers sometimes. It includes service to others. So that can include professions such as doctors, nurses, first responders, etc. Illness and pets. So you may benefit in some way through a co-worker or an employee or a pet, or your relationship with co-workers or employees may be more harmonious, or you may be of service to others. Maybe, you're volunteering or just helping out, maybe not only a sense of fulfillment for helping others, but maybe there's an actual, like with Venus, she does bring good things. It doesn't necessarily mean, something massive, but it might be just, appreciation, or, some little gift or something, because sometimes Venus can bring gifts. In Aries, she's not the strongest because Aries is ruled by Mars. So she's relying on Mars when she's in Aries. But, certainly allow her to put some energy into that house.
Because she can be a fighter as well. And then when Venus moves into Taurus, your seventh house, on April 29th, this is the house of the other. So this is the house where good things can happen around the one-on-one relationships that you have in your life, like a spouse or, a coworker, not a coworker, but a best friend or a partner in business, or even a dentist or a doctor. Like if you've been trying to get, a certain hairdresser, you might be able to get an appointment when you need it around anytime after April 29th to May 23rd, when Venus is in your seventh house.
And from May 23rd to June 17th, Venus will be in Gemini. This is your 8th house of other people's money. So you may benefit in some way through topics such as inheritances, maybe a spouse's money, maybe they've received a bonus at work or come into some money and you get to share in the bounty. It can also include things like debts, loans, taxes, insurances. So it could be you're actually getting a refund from the tax department rather than the money you thought you might have to pay, or nothing at all. It could be you've applied for a loan and you weren't sure if you're going to get it, but you get it, and maybe you're offered a little bit more perhaps. But for whatever reason, things usually go a lot smoother when Venus is in the house. And as it's in your 8th house of other people's money, that's where you're likely to benefit at this time.
Very nice to look forward to. And then June 17th, Venus will move into Cancer. This is your 9th house of, higher education, publishing, law, esoteric subjects, philosophy, the things that you this is the bigger scale of how you run your life. You should get a benefit from either, if you are in college, you might be graduating, or you might get some kind of award, at your school. This is, or a class might have opened up that you are wanting to take, or, you just might get some kind of benefic quality when it comes around those esoteric subjects.
And from July 11th to August 4th, Venus will be in Leo in your 10th house. The 10th house is your career and public reputation. This can include your career, your work, your bosses, because it's also the house of authorities. So you may just really be getting along with everyone in the workplace, which would be nice. For some, there may actually be romance, whether that's with someone you know through work. It could possibly be a boss or something, because, as I said, the 10th house is the house of authority figures. You may get some like bonus at work, or maybe you're recognized or rewarded in some fashion. It could be because it's not just work, it's, as we said, what you're known for or public reputation. Maybe you're getting married at this time, or receiving an honor or reward from, it could be from anything. Maybe you do some community service and that's being recognized, that's separate from your work, or it could be anything. But yes, when Venus is in the 10th house, for whatever reason, your public reputation is likely to just be sweetened, and maybe a bit of reward and recognition.
It's to look forward to. And then August 4th, Venus will be moving into Virgo. This is your 11th house. And the 11th house is, the groups and associations, your hopes and dreams. So you should be getting a benefit in your 11th house through your friends and associates. It's a nice house. Isn't as strong as she could be. She's strong in Taurus, Pisces, and Libra. This is not it. So, but you should still be able to get a benefit.
From August 29th to September 22nd, Venus will be in Libra. This is a sign that she rules, so she's very strong here. This is in your 12th house, though, which is a little bit of a difficult house. The 12th house is often called the house of our undoing. So this can include things like self-defeating habits or addictions. It's secret and hidden matters, but it can also be places of retreat, or just, behind the scenes stuff going on. It's possible that you have locked yourself away because Venus includes things like beauty and art. Maybe you're working on some sort of artistic project behind the scenes. Maybe there's a new romance and you're keeping it quiet for the moment. It could be, even because it is places of confinement, which includes places like hospitals, prisons, and retreats, like spiritual retreats, monasteries, that you may benefit through one of those places somehow, or maybe you become romantically involved with somebody who's somehow involved with one of those institutions. Or for those that are battling addictions or something, this may actually be a little bit of grace or help in some way.
I like that, because we all need to go away and, recharge and get rid of things out of our life that we don't need and make room for new stuff. So I like, with Libra in there, that's going to be a nice help for that 12th house. I think it's her house. She rules it. So nice,
Yeah.
nice things.
I was just thinking too, the house of exile. So sometimes this can be associated with somewhere far away. So it's possible that you could become involved with somebody who's from a different country, or you're traveling in a different country, which might be more applicable for the 9th house. But sometimes significations can cover several houses. So that's another possibility.
And then September 22nd, she's going to be moving into Scorpio. This is your first house, which is usually a very nice house. The only thing the reason why I'm saying usually is because she does not have, she's in Scorpio. She's in very much a house where she does not have any dignity, and she doesn't have her tools. She does have the tools that Mars will lend her. So she's, but this is the first house, and it's the house where you can, make the changes with yourself. So this is the house of the self. So a new hairstyle, red might be a nice color. I don't know. I'm not a hairdresser, but she's going to do things that are going to benefit you in surrounding the house of just yourself. So whether it's a new wardrobe, buy a red piece of clothing. It might be a very Venusian, when Venus is in Scorpio in your first house, that might be what you're attracted to. But yeah, it's the house of yourself. So you're going to make improvements, and she will definitely be shining on you in the first house for you.
Mm-hmm. And from October 17th to November 11th, Venus will be in Sagittarius, which is your second house. The second house is the house of your personal income and finances. So there might be a little bit of increase in your finances at this time. Maybe there's a bonus, or maybe somebody gifts you something, whether that's a resource or money, or for whatever reason, personal finances and resources are likely to be improved somewhat at this time, even if just momentarily or one-off.
Very nice. And then November 11th, she'll be moving into Capricorn, and that's your third house. And the third house, you can expect to benefit around, short-term transportation, maybe your siblings. This is a great, time of year to be getting together with your family and extended family, cousins. It's a good time.
Very nice. Because Venus is also about socializing. So any of these places, if we mention people, topics, you're likely to benefit through that. But yeah, sometimes you're just socializing and getting along much more harmoniously with the people associated with the house. From December 7th, Venus moves into Aquarius, which is your fourth house, which includes family, but most particularly your parents. It's your home and living situation and real estate matters. So yeah, maybe you're getting along really well or socializing more with the parents, people that you're sharing your home with. Maybe you benefit through real estate in some way, or maybe it's just harmonious. Or with the fourth house being where you live, it maybe you're looking to beautify it in some form.
The next planet we're going to be talking about is Mars. And Mars is he is one of the two of our malefic planets that we have in our universe. He is, for the traditional planets, he is the next one out from the sun. So he's the fourth planet from the sun. And he is in charge of aggression, as well as drive, courage, bravery, impatience, separation, heat, so he's got the drive to fight, but he also can be responsible for accidents as well. So you need to be kind of cautious with Mars. And I think as long as you're cautious with Mars, he should be okay. hopefully, fingers crossed. But he'll be moving into your third house January 4th in Capricorn. He does have some dignity here in Capricorn. This is a sign that in your third house, you might have this might be the drive. You might be getting a new car. I don't know if you would necessarily get a new car, but this is the you could get into a car accident. It's possible. I wouldn't be driving and not thinking and making sure that you're safe while you're doing it. This is the third house. This could be times when you could get into fights with your brothers and sisters as well. So it is a time to be cautious in your third house. Anytime around Mars. Mars can give you the drive to get things done, but can also separate and give you things that result from not thinking through.
Yeah, just going back what you were saying about the car, what popped into my head was road rage, but also speeding tickets because Mars
Yeah,
wants to move
wants
fast.
to go.
From February 13th to March 22nd, Mars will be in Aquarius, which is your fourth house. So the fourth house is your parents and people that you share a home or living situation with, real estate matters, heritage. Mars can be aggressive, so you may need to watch your interactions with parents or people you live with. Maybe you're a little bit edgy or they're a little bit edgy and you're kind of dealing with that. A great way to try and mitigate that is just try and be more active with them. Not always easy when your parents are older, but maybe just getting out and walking, because it's all relative. What may seem quite not overly active to you may be quite different to an older person. Another way to express this would be actually doing something physical, like renovating the house or doing something physically active. Watch out for accidents around the home. But usually this is kind of seen as bickering and all that sort of thing. Just be aware.
Definitely. And then March 22nd, Mars will be moving into Pisces in the fifth house. And the fifth house is your house of children, as well as your house of hobbies and your house of, the things that you do for fun. So, Mars in that house, I think Linda had said a couple of episodes back that, watch out for your children to get into accidents a lot here. This could also be, where you're cut off from doing a hobby that you wanted to do. And for some reason it got canceled, like if you play softball and it just got canceled. This is that separation. This is a time you really kind of want to make sure you have your protections in place and make sure that you're staying safe,
Yes.
Especially around things that are that help you have fun. And this is the fifth house is your house of fun. So you want to make sure you're staying safe while you are having fun.
Yeah, sports injuries might be something to watch out for there too. From April 30th to June 8th, Mars is going to be in Aries in the sixth house. So Aries is ruled by Mars. So this is a place where Mars is very resourceful. It's got everything it needs to do what it wants. And traditionally, the sixth house is the house where Mars has its joy. Yeah, look, this can be just like irritations because Mars is irritation and kind of, that kind of easy temper. And the sixth house is things like pets and co-workers and employees, service workers, people who are of service to others, such as doctors, nurses, first responders and that. So your interactions with those people may be a little bit more testy at this time, maybe just a little bit more, not aggressive, well, maybe aggressive, but just uncomfortable. There can be this edginess there. With Aries in the sixth, like I said, it should hopefully be able to manifest a little bit better because it is in its own sign and it is in the house that it does have its joy, but it does have its joy there because the sixth house is not an overly good house. It is a house of illness. So perhaps for some people, if you've been sick, maybe this is a time when you literally undergo the knife.
I like that. A lot of people who are service workers, like EMTs and stuff like that, have Mars in their sixth house natally. A lot of them do. And, this is also Mars is in charge of bravery. So this could be a time where bravery steps out, but, my Taurus self is telling you to be cautious.
Yeah, and maybe, you may find that your pets are, particularly dogs, which are a Mars ruled thing, maybe, just a little bit more aggressive, or just more energy, even just need more walking. With Mars, a really good thing to counteract it is to try and use that energy physically if possible, or for some, put it into drive and ambition, use it up somehow in a productive way if possible.
There, even though it's a malefic planet, there's lots of things that Mars can help you do that's a benefit to you. So I think they get a bad rap sometimes. June 8th, Mars will be moving into the Taurus, and that is your seventh house. And this is the house where, you can have those fights with your spouse, your partner, and have that splitting, or do something that it is without thought, and this could come back to not settle well, because Mars doesn't have a lot of dignity in Taurus. Doesn't it doesn't it kind of it's kind of fighting haphazardly, because it doesn't have it's fighting with a feather duster when it wants a knife. So, um in Taurus, it's that's a Venus ruled sign, so it's kind of struggling there in the seventh house, but but this is where you can find those fights, or saying those things without thinking. So this would be a time to watch how you talk to your significant other.
Yeah, I always think maybe a little bit of passive aggression too with
Yeah.
Mars in Taurus.
Yeah.
From July 20th to September 4th, Mars will be in Gemini in the 8th house. The 8th house is other people's money, including the partner's money. That can be a business partner or a romantic partner. So there might be fights about, how to divvy up money, whether that's you divorcing or separating and you going through something like that. Or it could be just, I think we should spend it on a holiday, and somebody else, the partner thinks you should, save it or do something different. The 8th house includes things like inheritances. So this could be, you've found out you're going to inherit some money, but somebody's contesting the will. Might not be a great time to get a loan from a bank or financial institution. Maybe you don't get the amount that you want. It's not actually any kind of people really for the 8th, and it can be anxiety and worry. So there could be like you're getting hot under the collar and anxious and worked up, and there's nothing you can really do physically. Well, I don't know, but yeah, just maybe fights and just drama surrounding other people's money. And with all of these, it's not like, for the whole time that Mars is in that sign, that every day is just one thing after another. It might be one or two instances, but if it's going to happen for Scorpio ascendants, that you've got issues surrounding wills or a partner's money or whatever, it's likely to be between July 20th and September 4th, when it's in the 8th house of shared finances and resources.
And then September 4th, Mars is going to move into Cancer, and Cancer is your ninth house. And when Mars is in Cancer, this is it's more of an emotional place for Mars to be expressing itself. This is a house of the esoteric subjects, as well as publishing or law, philosophy, and higher learning. So you could decide to stop school if you were, if you are a Scorpio rising. This could be a time when you have drive to pursue the esoteric subjects. This could be a time, with Mars in the ninth house. Mars is wanting to provide drive or separation. So whatever and however you're wanting to work with Mars in this house is your choice. It's free will. But Mars does have some negative qualities to him, but he's also got that drive. He pursues, and he gives you that energy. Just watch out for that emotional aspect, because Mars can be quite emotional in Cancer.
Yeah. And I think too, sometimes it might be like not you that's actually instigating. Sometimes it kind of comes from the people or topics associated with that house. So, like beliefs and philosophy. Maybe you're having an argument with somebody about that, but maybe you didn't start it. Maybe somebody started on you. So you can only try your best sometimes. From November 3rd, Mars will be in Leo, which is your 10th house. 10th house is our career and public reputation. It's what we're known for. It's a very visible house. So this would be really good if you were known for being hardworking at this time. Leo is a sign that's about leadership. So is Mars. So this would be a great time to kind of step up and show courage and bravery, or just hard work and ambition. But, you know, it could also be just fights with authority figures, with bosses, with clients, those that you work with, or it might be coming from those people towards you. But yeah, look, if you can put this hard work into drive and ambition to do better or propel your reputation in some way, that would be great. For some, it could be, you know, a loss of a job, or it could be the loss of a boss or an authority figure. And, you know, when I think about Mars, I think about physical energy, but also, you know, drive and ambition. You know, not everything has to be physical, you know, kind of working hard at a desk job or thinking, and you know, that's just as draining in that. So
And then Mars is going to end the year in a retrograde, or in the retrograde period. It's going to station retrograde at 6 degrees Leo on December 6th. And then it's going to go, so it's going to start the retrograde in the 10th house, and it's going to work back into the 9th house. And it's going to go direct at 17 degrees Cancer on February 23rd. So it's about a 5-week period, even longer than that it's in a retrograde period. And it's going to go into your 10th house, and then it's going to retrograde back into your 9th house. So those topics are going to cover, you know, like Linda said earlier, your house of reputation, the house of your reputation, as well as career. And then it's going to go back into the 9th house of philosophy and how you view the world. So this is where Mars is going to play out. And when it's in a retrograde, it's kind of asking you to revisit certain issues of, you know, issues that you might have been fighting against. This all might be coming up for you again.
yeah, it's unfortunate that the 9th house in your case is Cancer, where it is in fall. So Mars isn't very strong there. Like Donna said earlier, it's quite emotional. And with Mars too, quite often things can kind of slow down. Mars just wants to go. It just wants to go forward, and being held back, it can get quite agitated. It's frustrating. So matters to do with career may slow down. You may not have the momentum that you want. And, you know, and then there's these issues with, you know, it could be the law. So it could be a lawsuit. It could be just the police. It could be, you know, philosophy, religion, foreigners, all sorts of things. So those things may be two separate incidences too, or it might be linked together. And for some, it may not make much of an impact at all. It may be like, oh yeah, things are, you know, slow at work. You know, you were hoping to achieve this target, and it's, you know, not going to be met in time, or not when you thought it would. Whereas for others, it might be quite dramatic. And that tends to be, you know, when you've got natal planets or chart points that are being hit by these stationing degrees, or even between where Mars is going over that old ground.
The retrograde, the shadow period is from October 5th. So any themes that come up October 5th to May 2nd will be where the shadow period is. And that's where you could see those revisiting those issues of, and having aggression, courage, and drive come up.
Yeah, come back and bite you. Which is a very Mars thing.
Yes, it is a very Mars thing. The next planet out, we'll be talking about Jupiter. And Jupiter is the greater benefic. He is the planet that brings the good things around the Jupiter issues, which is, you know, higher philosophy and making things bigger. And, you know, he's the planet of generosity. So we kind of like Jupiter. He provides growth for us. One of the major shifts that he's going to do is he's going to move right next to, or right on top of, Uranus. And Uranus is that planet of shock and rebellion and revolutionary kind of thought. So I'm really looking forward to this. I don't know why. You know, it has a lot to do with the good things that are going to happen. This is going to happen in this sign of Taurus, and it's going to happen. Jupiter will conjoin Uranus at 21 degrees 49 minutes of Taurus on April 20th. This is only 12 days after an eclipse, so there's going to be a lot of energy anyway in the air, I'm suspecting, and this is going to be happening in your 7th house. So you can expect on a personal level, some expansion or some, you know, shocks, awakenings around this in the 7th house issues of the, you know, your partner. So this is it should be an interesting time.
Indeed. From the 25th of May, Jupiter will enter Gemini in your 8th house. Unfortunately, Jupiter in Gemini is in detriment because Gemini is ruled by Mercury, which is the opposite of Jupiter. Jupiter's big picture, Mercury's minor detail, drilling down to the detail. Jupiter is not able to work as effectively as it wants, but it is a benefic. It does tend to bring good things, and it does tend to enlarge things. In your 8th house, that's other people's money. So that can include shared finances and resources, particularly with a partner, whether that's a business partner or a romantic partner. So maybe your partner comes into some money at this time, and you may benefit through them. This includes things like wills, inheritances, taxes, hopefully not a big tax bill, but hopefully it's of benefit to you. Usually Jupiter brings good things, but you know, if it was aspecting, say, Mars or something else in your chart, it may not be that good. It's debts, loans, financial agreements, insurance. So yeah, you may benefit in some way through those topics. And I believe Jupiter will be in Gemini for the full year, like from May 2024, probably up until about May or June next year, because it will retrograde in Gemini. It's not going to retrograde back into Taurus.
So it'll spend the first half of the year in Taurus and then go into Gemini and do all of its. And yeah, well, with Jupiter, all the planets have a retrograde period most of the time. And Jupiter will station retrograde at 21 degrees Gemini, 20 minutes on October 9th. And it will station direct at 11 degrees, 16 minutes in Gemini on February 4th. So that's all the way in 2025 and this is going to happen in your 8th house. So it's going to kind of do that retrograde period over the end of next year, or over the end of 2024. I have to say 2024 because we're recording this the end of November. So I'm a little wonky with the years. So it's going to, when it moves into Gemini, that's where it's going to have its retrograde period. And that's going to happen between October 9th and February 4th. So the 8th house is the house of other people's money. And you might be getting an inheritance, but with the retrograde in there, it might cause a snafu or a delay of some kind getting that money. You might be entitled to money, but it might be coming slow.
Yeah. And, you know, you may get a little bit discouraged about it because Jupiter is optimism and enthusiasm. And, you know, you might be all, you know, excited and really, you know, revved up about this joint financial money or, you know, other people's money coming towards you. But yeah, you might have to wait or even come up with a whole new plan.
And then the next planet we're going to be talking about is Saturn. And Saturn is the other malefic planet that we have in our universe. Saturn, you know, and traditionally was the farthest planet that we could see. So it was the boundaries. And that's exactly what Saturn does, is it represents boundaries and restrictions. It also represents, it's things that take a long time. Was considered planet that was the no. Saturn is the planet that says, you know, I want to build a tree house, but did you get the paperwork? Did you make sure you measured twice? It kind of makes you do the rules. It's in Pisces now and will stay in Pisces in your fifth house. So this is going to be very restricted of your rules, with around things that you create. It could be your kids or artwork or hobbies of some kind. This could be a restriction and show up like, well, we had a softball game going, but we're not going to do that anymore. Or, if you want to play pool, that's okay, but you have to you have to be barefoot, and you have to drink a ton of water, just have a ton of rules that that weren't normally there. So that's the kind of thing that you might run into more rules. That's how I've noticed Saturn in the fifth house.
I know when I had Saturn in the fifth house, which was 25 years ago or something, but yeah, not a good time for dating. So yeah, but yeah, maybe socializing is curtailed at this time somewhat too, but for some, because Saturn is also older people, maybe you're socializing with older people, which is, a different manifestation, because that's the really interesting thing about astrology. The planets have different significations and can cover all sorts of things, and the houses have quite a few significations. So sometimes you kind of explain it to somebody and then they, say, oh, this is what's happening. It's like, oh, of course. But I never thought to say that because it's, bizarre. Or not that, hanging out with old people is bizarre, but
you might decide that you want to do a hobby that only an older person would be able to tell you. Like you might pick up knitting and seek out an older person who knows how to knit.
True. Very good. Saturn will retrograde from the 29th of June. It will station retrograde at 19 degrees Pisces, and it won't station direct until the 15th of November. That will be at 12 Pisces. So when Saturn's retrograde, those rules and limitations can seem a little bit overwhelming. It may be just quite frustrating. There's delays, there's restrictions. And at this time, when Saturn's not retrograde, you might be a little bit more, not complacent, but a little bit more okay with having to take your time and do things exactly by the book. You may find that a little bit more challenging when Saturn is retrograde. It may lead to extra delays. In the fifth house, it's unfortunate because the fifth house is a fun house. Saturn is the planet of no. So, but it will be here. I think it's here for 2024 and 2025. So look, great time to, not necessarily during the retrograde, though retrograde is going over things, but just generally speaking, good time to lay some solid foundations regarding those topics, whether that's children, getting them on some sort of routine structure, or, your hobbies or art or socializing. You kind of always saying to your friends, oh, we need to catch up. Maybe you actually decide that, well, okay, once every 2 months, we will catch up, the first Monday of every second month or something.
Yeah, Saturn is the planet of not now.
Mm.
Doesn't mean that you're not going to get there or not do something. It just means that it's just not now. I did an electional for someone and they wanted to go on a trip, and I was like, oh, you got Saturn, so you might expect, a delay. Okay. They went on the trip anyway, but it's a delay.
Yeah, sometimes it is just no, though. This probably wouldn't be an awfully good time to be trying for a baby, but there may be other things in your chart that are indicative of that. So, or you may just need to wait until Saturn's moved out of the fifth.
That could be very likely. If you have other planets in your natal chart that support that. And the next planet we're going to be talking about is the farthest planet that we know about in our universe, and that's Pluto. Pluto in 2024 is going to be going and it's doing this dance between two signs. It's going actually between Capricorn and Aquarius, and it's going to re-enter Aquarius January 20th. It was briefly in Aquarius, and this is in your fourth house from March 23rd to June 11th. And then it went back into Capricorn. So we had a taste of it March to June. So yeah, hopefully you maybe have gotten some kind of whispers of where that change in your life is, because Pluto is that planet of change, transformation, making big things small or small things big, as well as that planet of intensity and power struggles. So yeah, you want to be kind of cautious with Pluto. And you know, it's not like Pluto moves anywhere fast. It's the slowest planet. It takes 240 years plus to go all the way around the sun just even once. So it spends a lot of time in a sign, except when it's going back and forth, and it'll go back and forth between two signs 3 to 5 times every time it moves a sign. So it does like to play that dance, but this is a planet that we do need to take notice. Although they say it is the smallest planet, it does have a big impact. It's going to be going over your fourth house. So the fourth house is the house where you're going to have that transformation, whether it's, you know, moving out older kids or moving in younger kids. It's the house that your house is going to be going through some kind of transportation or transformation, whether you're just putting on new siding, you know, painting it a different color, or moving entirely. This is something around you, your living situation that's going to be changing. So that's where this energy is, or your parents, your lineage, something might be transforming in those areas. This is the fourth house area. So
And from the 1st of September 2024, Pluto will retrograde back into Capricorn. This is in your third house, and it will finally leave Capricorn on the 19th of November 2024, and it won't be back in Capricorn for another 240 plus years. So if you have something in Capricorn, particularly the late degrees, this might be wrapping up something. Pluto was in Capricorn from 2008. It did duck back into Sagittarius early on, like Donna said. You know, when it's changing signs, it does kind of, you know, dip a toe in and then back, and because it moves so slowly. But generally speaking, we've had Pluto in Capricorn since 2008 up until 2023, when it did dip its toe into Aquarius, but it came back. And then in 2024, it's back in Aquarius. And this is the final foray in Capricorn. So matters to do with your third house, which is siblings and other close family like cousins, aunts, uncles, communications in general, transportation, neighbors, your general neighborhood. These are things that are all very familiar to you, your day-to-day life. There may be some sort of transformation regarding that. That could be, you know, maybe you moved into a different neighborhood in that time, maybe your relationship with neighbors or your general local community changed in some major way, or with siblings or close family relatives. It's also short courses, early childhood education. So those topics may have undergone some sort of transformation during that time. That may be settling down because it is going to move more fully into Aquarius. So those fourth house matters that Donna was talking about, parents, real estate matters, your home and living situation, are going to be more of the focus as Pluto moves into Aquarius.
Pluto will re-enter Aquarius November 19th and will remain in Aquarius in your fourth house until March 8th, 2043. So you have a lot of time to get used to Pluto in your fourth house. It'll move into your fifth house in 2043. So you got some time.
You know, if you've got planets in, you know, the fourth or the third house, you know, if a planet is going over one of your natal planets, you're going to feel it much more significantly, or if it's opposing or squaring it, or even sextiling or trining it, you know. But if it's not making any contact with your natal planets, it may be more of a background theme.
And then we have the eclipses. Now there's going to be 4 eclipses this year. We're going to start off with the lunar eclipse on March 25th. And that's going to happen at 5 degrees Libra in your 12th house. And, you know, the 12th house is the house of undoing. The eclipses really kind of eclipse things in and out of your life. They bring things in and they also take things away. So that's going to be the first eclipse. The next eclipse is going to happen on, and this is going to be a solar eclipse on April 8th, 2024. And that's going to happen at 19 degrees Aries. And that's going to happen in your 6th house. The eclipses happen on the axes of, Aries, Libra, and then they move in the reverse order, and that's how they advance, and they go through different houses, and they stay in 2 houses for about 18 months to 2 years. So that's where the eclipses will happen on the axis, and those can be impactful if you have planets on these degrees.
And that solar eclipse on the 8th of April, for those living in the US, may be quite significant, particularly if you do have planets around about 19 Aries or other cardinal points. So 19 Aries, Libra, Capricorn, or Cancer. The reason I say that is because a lot of people believe that an eclipse is more significant when you are actually in an area where you can observe it. And this solar eclipse, the path where people can see it crosses the US. We had one on the 14th of October, 2023, that went from the West Coast,
Oregon to Florida, basically, or actually northern South America.
Yeah. And the actual 2 paths meet round about San Antonio, which is rather interesting.
I think they all go from west to east.
Well, I was talking about the cross, the paths go
Gotcha.
from east to west, but I'm just thinking like the arm appears to, yeah. I'm a Pisces and Mercury.
Second, one leg went from Oregon to northern South America, and then this one will basically go from like Hawaii to Greenland.
Okay, yeah, I never
That's how I think they run.
That's a good point. Anyway, they're going to meet in San Antonio, so that's interesting. So if
they're going to cross, yeah,
if you're born in San Antonio and you have planets around about 19 Aries, we want to hear from you after the eclipse. And with eclipses, it's not necessarily, oh, this is the actual day, it has to happen then. I've heard a month either side of the eclipse, you might notice the events, and sometimes it can take up to 6 months. But yeah, interesting, just very interesting for people living in that eclipse path. And eclipses come in Saros series, the solar eclipses do anyway. And Saros series are kind of just a family of eclipses. And every 18 years, we have an eclipse that belongs to the same Saros series. So Donna, do you want to say what this Saros series is all about?
This Saros series is Saros series 8 North will have a lot to do with it started May 17th, 1501. So that's how old the series has been going. It also had the same series going in 1952, 1970, 1988, 2006. And it has a lot to do with inventiveness and flashes of genius. This is from the Bernadette Brady's Predictive Astrology, The Eagle and the Lark. So that's what this book is from. Inventiveness and flashes of genius are the hallmark of the Saros series. The individual will have intuitive leaps, insights, good ideas, visions, or vivid dreams. This newfound inspiration will pull the person away from his or her social life or relationship, thereby causing strain in the private life. This is a time when the person needs to be free, if only for a few weeks. So, and that is so close to that Uranus, that.
Yeah, that's
rebellion,
on the 20th. With this axis of eclipses that Scorpios have been having, it's been over the 12th and 6th house, which are difficult houses. We've got the houses of our undoing and the house of illness. There are other topics as well, such as, the 6th house is service to others and pets and employees and that. But this could be quite a difficult series for a lot of Scorpio ascendants. And if that's the case, the good news is that they're coming to an end soon. We do have one more Libra eclipse that will be on the 2nd of October 2024. And the final of this Aries Libra ones will be in March 2025. We do have the start of the Pisces Virgo ones in September, 17th of September. We have a lunar eclipse in Pisces, which will be the 5th house, which is a lot more interesting. And did you want to read out what the 2nd of October solar eclipse is all about?
I will. That sounds great. This is the Saros cycle that started April 1st, 1718. And this has a lot to do with, according to Bernadette Brady's book, Predictive Astrology, The Eagle and the Lark, has a lot to do with separation and loss, to be parted, to finish something, and to feel sad at its completion. Physical injury is also possible through overstraining one's strength. This is not the time to undertake strenuous physical activities. And these were the same Saros cycle happened again in 1952, 1970, 1988, 2006. So whatever was happening back in those years, if you can kind of remember what those eclipses were about, might give you some idea of what you might see for this eclipse.
And yeah, that's a pretty, it's not the most joyful Saros series, is it? And in the 12th house, that could be difficult for some, but it may not be as shocking unless you have planets round about the eclipse degree, which for the October one is at 10 Libra. If you have 10 degrees of the other cardinal signs, so Aries, Cancer, and Capricorn, they may also be feeling that a little bit too, or you may be feeling that more significantly.
And that was the major transits that you will be facing if you are a Scorpio rising. Linda, where can people get a hold of you and what are you doing?
I'm at Scullywag Astrology. That's astrology.scullywag.com, and I offer natal readings, year ahead readings, and relationship readings. And Donna, what do you offer and where can people find you?
You can get a hold of me. My website is donnabastrology.com, and you can get a hold of me at donnabarconsulting@gmail.com. And I do natal readings, astrology natal readings. I do electional and horary, a tiny bit of medical, and then I also work with crystals and stones for energy healing. So that's how you can get a hold of me.
Excellent. So that's 2024 for Scorpio. If you found this interesting or helpful, we'd really appreciate a like or a comment. We love to read the comments, particularly as you're going through some of these experiences. Oh, I was going to say, every 2 weeks we do a full moon or a new moon forecast. We look at the full new moon and we do horoscopes for all the signs, and we look at the upcoming aspects between the planets in that next 2-week period until the next full or new moon. So if that's something that interests you, I suggest you subscribe. That would be great.
Wonderful. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Thanks for listening. Bye.